New adventure for me today. It's 5:20 in the morning here in Tirana, and today I'm travelling by bus to Skopje in North Macedonia. So I've made sure I'm well prepared. I've got my big bottle of water, some snacks, and more importantly, Imodium. Imodium is a Scotsman's best friend. Certainly for long journeys like this one's going to be 6 hours, it's going to be. Could get quite hot, a bit uncomfortable. Alright, that's me in Skopje, North Macedonia now. I'm just going to check out this old fort that was built in 6 AD, it's just along from my hotel. And then later on I'm going to tell a funny story about some drama I had at the Albania-Kosovo border while I was travelling to get here. So the other day when I left Tirana to come to Skopje, the bus had to go to the Albania-Kosovo border. We were transiting through Kosovo. So we got to the border, and it had been a nice journey up till then. Some nice scenery in the Albanian countryside approaching Kosovo. So we get to the border with Kosovo and we have to stop. A guard comes on, takes everyone's passport, and he goes off. About 5 minutes later, a very serious official looking guy comes on the bus, kinda points at me, and he's like, "Right, you, come here." So I go off the bus and he sends me off to a porta cabin with another serious official. So I know the nature of the job, they are quite serious at border crossing, so that's fine. So I'm in this cabin with this official, and he just kind of questions me where I've been, where I'm travelling to, what my plans are, and then he gets me to fill in some forms. Once I finish doing that, he says to me, "Okay, you wait back on the bus." So I'm like, okay. So I go back to the bus. As I'm going back to the bus, the driver's assistant, he is showing a different guard the undercarriage of the bus, like where all the bags are. So I walk past them, I jump back on the bus. I think I seen a gecko there. So I'm waiting back on the bus, and a couple of minutes later the bus driver's assistant jumps back on, the bus kicks into gear, the driver takes off. Next thing I know, the bus is just like blasting its way into Kosovo. And I'm thinking, that guy never gave me my passport back, I don't have my passport here. And let me tell you, I didn't feel too good in that moment. But here, the driver's assistant, all of a sudden he starts making his way up the bus, and I can see he's got a wad of passports in his hand, and he starts dishing them out to some of the passengers down the front. So that gave me a bit of relief. I'm thinking, right, okay, that passport must be in there. Naturally, gets to me, just gives me a blank look, shrugs his shoulders, no passport. Carries on giving the passports to the other people up the back of the bus, then goes down the front. Meanwhile, my heart is just sinking. I'm thinking, why didn't I just go a beach holiday to Spain or Greece? And I'm looking out the window at the Kosovan countryside, at the dilapidated farmhouses, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? So I jump up anyway, and I kind of run down the front of the bus, and I try and frantically explain to the driver's assistant that, look, you need to stop and go back, my passport is back at the border there. I need my passport. And naturally, none of them speak a word of the Queen's. I mean, that's okay, I don't speak Albanian, right? But I just kind of summed up the situation and how futile it was and how hopeless the situation felt in that moment. So after a couple of minutes of trying to explain to the driver and his assistant and getting nowhere, honestly, God sent an angel, because this Kosovan woman came to the front of the bus where we were and she said to me in perfect English, "What is the problem that you're having? I can help to translate for you." I couldn't believe it. So this woman, she came to the rescue. She was able to translate for me, let the driver and his assistant know what had happened. So they basically say, no chance of returning back. There's not another turn for an hour down the road and we have a bus full of people. But the assistant, he phoned the guards at the border that we had just left, and unbelievably, a guard got in a car and followed the bus with my passport. Fair play to the guy, because we were driving for about an hour before we came to the bus station in Pristina, the capital of Kosovo, where I was switching buses to go on to Skopje. So this lady who was translating, she told me, she said, "It's okay, a guard is going to bring your passport to the bus station." She was like, "You can sit down and relax." I'm like, okay, thank goodness that's sorted, hopefully. Now before we got to the bus station, this lady who was translating for me, she actually got off the bus. That was her stop. So then I realised I'm left on a bus with no English speakers again. Hopefully nothing goes wrong here, and I'm already thinking ahead, well, whereabouts in the bus station do I wait for this guy? How will he know who I am? So we carry on a little bit longer, get to the bus station, and it's quite a ramshackle bus station. It's big, it's a big bus station, but it's quite chaotic, and I'm thinking I can just see disaster ahead. So I let everyone else get off the bus first, and then when I go to get off, the driver, who still can't really speak English, but he did put his hand up to me and he was like, no, he was like, "Please wait one moment, sit." So I'm like, okay. So I sat down, and yeah, about 10 or 15 minutes later, the guard pulled up in a car and came on the bus, and he was just laughing as he gave me my passport back. So I went out, the assistant came with me, I got my bags out from the undercarriage, and I gave him a tip, and I just said, right, and I think it was quite a good tip I gave him, and I said, right, please share that between yourself, your friends. So I see he was quite happy with that, and then he asked to see my ticket to see where I was going on to, so I showed him it. That was going on to Skopje in North Macedonia, so it just shows you how nice the people are, you know, because he was like, right, he was like, come. So I followed him, and he took me through this ramshackle bus station, and I would have had real trouble finding my terminal for the bus to Skopje if he wasn't there. And he basically took me right to it, and he told me, right, this is where you wait. So that was good of him, you know. And thankfully the bus from Pristina to Skopje was uneventful. So that's me finished at the fort. That was an interesting place and some great views of the city to be had while you're there. So I'm going to go down further into Skopje just now. It's a cool wee place. I want to show you some of the statues and the architecture down there. It looks as if it's like really old, like hundreds of years old, but apparently this was something they did in between 2010 2014 to renovate the city. And honestly, I think there's more statues than people. It's unbelievable. And it was a bit controversial because apparently there was a lot of unemployment in the country, and the people felt that the money could have been better spent rather than doing up the city like this. But I'll show you.